We'd like to welcome everyone this afternoon to Touro University, California, on beautiful Mare Island in Vallejo. Before we begin, we'd like to acknowledge that Touro University sits on unceded land that was part of the 1851-1852 unratified treaties, specifically Tract 296, which was part of Treaty O. This land was the traditional home of the Karkan people, one of the 8 Ohlone tribes in the Bay Area. Solano County is also the traditional home to a variety of tribes of the Patwan and Miwok. Consistent with the university's commitment to diversity and inclusion, Touro is working towards building relationships with indigenous communities through academic pursuits, partnerships, historical recognitions, community service, and enrollment efforts.
I'd like to begin by thanking everyone for joining us today. My name is Kevin Calvelo, and I'm the president of the Military Club at Touro University, California. With another Veterans Day upon us, we find ourselves impacted for the second year in a row by the continuing pandemic. As TUC continues to open up for more and more in-person activities, when we began planning this service a couple of months ago, we made the decision to hold a virtual service again this year. So our service today is a collection of recordings that have been made over the past month or so by the members of the Military Club, the Touro University community, and members of our extended Touro family within the local community. A sincere thank you to everyone for all of your efforts to make this unique ceremony possible. Hopefully next year we will be back in person in front of the old hospital, or in case of bad weather, in the Lander Auditorium. Now to begin, I call upon Emerald Bibler to sing the national anthem. Please stand for the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Emerald. My name is Leo Manassian, and I'm a member of the Military Club at TUC. Now we would like to call upon Senior Provost Shelley Berkeley, followed by Provost Sarah Schweitzer, to bring greetings from the Touro community.
Hi, everybody. I want to thank you for joining us today for this very important and meaningful ceremony. My name is Shelley Berkeley, and I'm the Senior Provost and CEO of Touro Western Division. I am here today not only to welcome you, but to thank all of our veterans, our students, faculty, and staff for answering the call when our nation needed us the most. There is not a more selfless group of people than the veterans of our great nation. They dedicate their lives, you dedicate your life, and sometimes sacrifice your life in order to protect and defend the rest of us. I am so proud to lead an institution that cares so much for its veterans and everyone in the veterans community, including the families of these servicemen and women. Thank you so much for everything you do for our country. I come from an immigrant family. I'm second generation American. My father was born into an immigrant family, obviously, when he was 17 years old, not more than 20 years after my family immigrated to the United States. He went down to enlist for World War II. He served with great distinction in the Navy, in the Pacific, on the USS Langley. He saw action in over 10 battles and came home to share his experiences, not for many years, but towards the end of his life, sharing his experiences with us. My husband is a Vietnam vet. He was a doctor in the Army Medical Corps. We believe in service to our country, just as all of our other veterans do as well. So for the veterans out there that are with us today, let me thank you again for your service, your sacrifice, and thank your families as well, because I know they serve along with the servicemen and women in their family. Thanks for everything you do. You make me proud to be an American. You make me proud to be here at Touro. Thanks for your help. Thanks for your service. Thanks for your commitment to God and country.
Welcome Touro students, staff, and faculty, our community, and most importantly, our veterans, to the annual Touro Veterans Day recognition. We miss having you on campus to celebrate, but we're glad that we're able to virtually connect on this important day. My name is Sarah Schweitzer, Provost of Touro University, California. I'd like to start by thanking the TUC Military Club for planning and organizing today's event. This includes the Military Club student leaders, Kevin Ray, Jeremy Stelmack, Philippe Catechiz, Ardalyn Turman, Jacob Spinelli, Kyle Schuker, and Leo Manassin, with Dr. Joy Moverly and Dr. Natalie Nevins as faculty advisors. Other members of the organizing committee include Andrea Garcia and her team in advancement, as well as Michael Barber. It's truly an honor to speak about something that I hold so dearly, recognizing and honoring our veterans, the brave men and women who were willing to give of themselves to defend their brothers and sisters, our great nation, our freedom, and our democracy. Today, we come together to honor our servicemen and women who answered America's call. These men and women left their families, their homes, and the lives that they knew to protect our country and to maintain our way of life. Veterans Day is also a part of my own personal story. My grandfather served 12 tours in the Pacific aboard submarines in World War II. My husband served in the First Gulf War. I recognize what that service meant to my grandfather, my grandmother, and to future generations of my own family. Veterans Day is a day for all Americans. It's a day to remember why countless generations of Americans have served this great nation. It's a day to be proud of who we are as Americans and commit to protecting our democracy and the many freedoms it affords us, and to protect that legacy for many future generations. To our veterans, thank you. We recognize your sacrifice to protect our democracy. We're grateful to you. You inspire us to serve others more completely and fully. As we honor our veterans and remember their great deeds, let us also salute those who are currently serving our great nation and working to ensure our safety and security at home and abroad. Take time today to thank our veterans, our active duty military, and the families who support them for their bravery and commitment to the safety and security of our nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Senior Provost Berkeley and Provost Schweitzer. My name is Philippe Katakis, and I'm the National Representative for the Military Club. Next, I would like to ask the following to bring greetings. Congressman Mike Thompson, Assemblymember Timothy Grayson, State Senator Bill Dodd, and Vallejo City Councilor Pippin Dew.
Thank you for making time on this important day to honor our district's veterans. I'm proud and humbled to be with you. Originally, Veterans Day was to honor those fallen and those returned from the battlefields during World War I. It's become an important moment to pause and to recognize veterans of all wars. Today, we are here to thank our veterans for their service to our country and to express our gratitude to the families and the loved ones that supported them. Families and loved ones of veterans spent months and sometimes years worried about their service member. They wondered if their husband, their brother, their mother, sister, or child would return home. And the families and the loved ones continue to care for and support their veterans once they come home. This year, Veterans Day may feel different for some. It's the first time we recognize Veterans Day since the end of our nation's longest war, Afghanistan. This Veterans Day may be difficult for those veterans. It may be a chance to reflect and to honor their brothers and sisters who didn't come home. Or it may be a time for them to spend with their family and their loved ones that supported them while they were overseas. For the rest of us, it's a chance to renew our commitment to serve our nation's veterans. Being a veteran doesn't end when the war is over, and our support for our service members must not end when they return from the battlefield. One of the most important priorities in Congress is ensuring we serve our veterans. This year, we provided federal funding for veterans' medical needs, which included funding to train healthcare workers and build new VA facilities. And President Biden's Build Back Better Act invests $5 billion to improve the VA and the support systems that help our veterans. And I know how important this is, as the majority of constituent work my staff and I do is helping veterans. Resolving these cases for our veterans can be difficult because of the antiquated record system at the VA. The Build Back Better Act has funding to digitize records to make it faster and easier to process these cases so that veterans can get the services that they earned. Having helped countless veterans with the VA during my time in Congress, and having received care from the VA myself, I know how critical these projects can be. Digitalized records might not make headlines, but they sure make an enormous difference in our veterans' lives. And that's what we're here to honor today, the lives of our nation's veterans. I've always believed that the best way to honor our veterans is to ensure a more peaceful future. To ensure, in President John Kennedy's words, that mankind puts an end to war before war puts an end to mankind. May we all take those words to heart and strive to live them every day. And may we build a more peaceful world for us all. Thank you. God bless our veterans, and God bless America.
Good afternoon, members of our armed services, veterans, and friends. Today we honor our veterans who embody our values of courage, patriotism, and selflessness. Veterans are real-life heroes and sheroes who promise to protect and defend this great nation and to keep our country free. As a free nation, we are indebted to them and grateful forever. So today we thank you and celebrate you. Let us not forget their bravery and valor. Today, we remember them by embracing these universal tenets: honor of country, the courage to defend it, and by having selflessness by giving to and honoring others. And to all of our families whose lives have been changed by war and the effects of it, I salute you and thank you on this very special day. Happy Veterans Day.
Hello, I'm Grayson. Thank you for the honor of saluting veterans on this day, set aside to honor their military service and sacrifice. Serving takes many forms, but all veterans signed a contract knowing that they could be placing themselves in the potential of harm's way. We all enjoy the benefits of their service and the freedom they protected for us, and it's important to acknowledge the cost that can come with that service. Too many of our veterans struggle with job instability, homelessness, and mental health concerns such as PTSD. These struggles also often affect the family and loved ones who supported them during their service and after their retirement. In order to effectively support our veterans, we must work to revitalize our economy, address our housing shortage, and increase access to effective and affordable mental health services. I will continue to fight for these issues, and more so that California's veterans can be welcomed home from service with respect, dignity, and support that they deserve. I hope you will all join me today in not only expressing gratitude to our veterans, but also in standing with them in the fight for the resources that they have more than rightfully earned. To every veteran and to the families who love and supported them, I wish you a meaningful Veterans Day and thank you deeply for your service. May God bless you all.
Veterans Day is a good time to remember that our freedom isn't guaranteed. It's protected by the men and women in our armed services. There's no way to thank our veterans for everything they sacrifice for our freedom, but on Veterans Day, we have to try. Not only should we thank the military this Veterans Day, but we should resolve to thank them throughout the year for the vital service they perform for our country. Happy Veterans Day to our soldiers, both past and present. We owe you our thanks, but more than that, we owe you our freedom.
Thank you for those greetings. My name is Kylie Shakur and I'm a member of the Military Club. Next, we would like to ask Dr. Michael Barber, a faculty member in the College of Education and Health Science and also an associate member of the Royal Canadian Legion, to read the poem In Flanders Field. This will be followed by Dr. Natalie Nevins, the faculty co-advisor for our Military Club, who will introduce our guest speaker for today.
The poem In Flanders Field was written by Canadian physician Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae around May 3, 1915, after presiding over the funeral of a friend and fellow soldier, Lieutenant Alexis Helmer, who died during the Second Battle of Ypres. During the burial, McCrae noted how the poppies quickly grew around the graves. His poem was published later that year in Punch magazine. Having been inspired by McCrae's poem, Moyna Michael, a professor at the University of Georgia, campaigned to have the poppy adopted as a symbol of remembrance. The National American Legion was the first to adopt the poppy at its conference in 1920, and the poppy was first used for Memorial Day in 1921. One of the invited speakers at that conference was a Frenchwoman, Madame Guérin, who would spend the next year successfully campaigning to have the poppy adopted as a symbol of remembrance, first in France, then Canada, followed by Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa, and finally Great Britain. By November 11th, 1921, the poppy had been adopted by all of the countries who were victors of World War I. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the poppy as a symbol of remembrance. Regardless if the poppies are handmade of silk, have 4 petals or 2 petals, if they have a green center or black center, whether they have a leaf or not, or if they are manufactured or handmade. For the past 100 years, Americans and people all around the world have worn a poppy to honor those who have served. In Flanders Field by John McCrae. In Flanders Field, the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place. And in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing, fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Field. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Field.
Welcome to our virtual Veterans Day celebration. I am Dr. Natalie Nevins. I serve as the Assistant Dean for Graduate Medical Education and Program Development at Touro University for the College of Osteopathic Medicine. Today I'm wearing my other hat, sort of, in the Army Reserves as the commander for the 820th Hospital Center, and behind me are a bunch of my wonderful soldiers, and next to me is my Command Sergeant Major, Patricia Van Drunen. The great thing about today is we're here because we're celebrating our soldiers who are competing in the Best Warrior competition. Say hooah! And we want to wish all of you, all of our veterans who we are so grateful for being able to stand on your shoulders to be able to do the job we do and serve our country, and we're grateful for you for everything you've done before us. So on behalf of all of us, all of our soldiers, and everyone and families who've given to our country so amazingly, we want to support all of you and thank you for your service. So once again, happy Veterans Day. And we want to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Andrew Shelley, who's one of our psychologists at the VA. And he's going to be speaking today on all the wonderful things that the VA can do and support us on this wonderful day, Veterans Day. Thank you so much. God bless.
Hi, I'm Dr. Andrew Shelley. I'm one of the clinical psychologists working at the Sacramento VA. I was asked to speak with you today about Veterans Day, kind of the meaning behind the day, and see if I can impart any type of wisdom for you about your work when it comes to the veteran population in the medical setting. So a little bit about me. I am a 14-year veteran of the United States Air Force. I was enlisted first, spent most of my time in the mental health field, got out, went to graduate school, went back in as an officer. So like I said, total between those two was about 14 years. Lots of deployments on top of that. And so I got to really kind of learn what it was like from a mental health perspective, and treating veterans and being a veteran, and then really put that into practice in some very interesting environments. So what I would like to do today is just take a few minutes really and just talk about Veterans Day and what that means. So because you're going to come across some veterans who really appreciate Veterans Day. They take a lot of pride and a lot of honor in what they did. And you're also going to have some veterans who are going to have some mixed feelings about Veterans Day. Some veterans who don't like it when they're thanked for what they did while they were in the military, or even what happened to them while they were in the military. And more often than not, those are the type of people that are going to be presenting themselves to you in a medical setting. And so having a little bit of insight as to what you might see, why you might be seeing that, I think would probably be more helpful for you as you start out in your own careers. So with that, in some previous discussions that you guys have had in some previous keynotes, they were talking about resiliency and what that looks like, and how the military helps, to grow that resiliency in people. And so there are lots of strengths that the military can bring out in a person to really increase their resiliency, make them a much stronger person mentally, physically, emotionally as well. So sometimes it goes in the opposite direction. So I want to talk about what you might look like when that resiliency might be lacking in a person. And so their ability to kind of bounce back from adversity. What is that going to look like for you? Because most of the time it's going to be people in primary care that are going to be the front line for a lot of these mental health concerns. And so when we're talking about resiliency, we're talking about, how your ability to cope with stress is less than the intensity of the stressor that's out there. So what does that look like? When you're looking at this typical curve of stress versus performance, well, most people are going to see their performance drop off. But if these things become chronic, we're also going to start seeing things like insomnia. Lots of sleep problems come into play, racing thoughts, anxiety. Okay, we're going to have a lot of anger and irritability. Sometimes that's easy to pick up on. Sometimes it's not so much. Sometimes there might be generalized pain and concern, especially within the stomach. Lots of extremity pain from feeling like they're having a heart attack, or just from the constant stress that they're putting their bodies under by being so anxious, or by just the emotional distress they're having is causing these physiological changes and putting in a lot of physiological stress. And so you could even see joint pain, muscle pain, sprains, different things like this. Substance use, of course, people are going to want to be distracting and avoiding what's going on with them. So these are some of the things that you might pick up on when you're treating somebody, or when you're seeing somebody from the veteran population in a medical setting. And these are things you kind of want to keep an eye out on, especially during times like Veterans Days or 4th of July, or any types of anniversaries and other military-related holidays. These are really going to exacerbate a lot of their distress. So when you're asking about sleep, you're looking at dreams. You're asking about what their sleep hygiene looks like. You want to know what their wind down routine is at the end of the day. You want to know what thoughts are kind of racing through their head as they're trying to sit there and fall asleep, or what's the nature of the nightmare that they're having when they suddenly wake up. Getting that collateral information too. Are they moving around a lot in the bed? Are they waking up in a sweat? All these can be indicators that they're actually not so much dealing with a medical issue as they're dealing with the psychological issue, the distress from their past experiences, and a lot of unresolved events that they're still struggling with. And I like taking time aside on Veterans Day to just consider some of that. Yes, it's a great time to honor our veterans, but it's also a good time to say, we're a little bit of a different breed. We come to the table with some experiences that aren't normal. We come to the table with a lot of value and pride and a desire to serve that isn't, found in the majority of the population. I mean, at any given time, you're probably looking at under 10% of the population has anything at all to do with the military. And so they're not going to necessarily come to you and say, hey, you know what? I'm having trouble resolving a lot of the emotions and the experiences I had while I was in the military. And I think that's coming out in my sleep. I think that's coming out in my joint pain. I think that's coming out in my high blood pressure, or with my headaches. And I would like for you to refer me over to a mental health provider to, discuss that. Now they're going to come at you with the physical stuff and say, I don't know what's going on. This has always been, I've always been a light sleeper. I've always only needed 3 to 4 hours, a night. And yes, I'm tired throughout the day. But these are the different things you want to be taking a look at, and how, the military helps build up that resiliency in going into a combat situation and getting you ready to fight. It doesn't necessarily build up that resiliency in how to turn that off and reintegrate back into civilian life. It doesn't necessarily tell you how to not have that exaggerated startle response when there's a firework out there. So I just wanted to give you some time to pause, reflect, consider different options when you're dealing with somebody from the veteran population that more often than not, you're not just dealing with a pure medical condition, that even physiological ailments can have a psychological causal factor to them, or at the very least, something that's exacerbating that physiological reaction. So the more we can be aware of that, the more we can be sensitive to that, the more we can dig in a little bit to some of that collateral information. You know, how are your relationships? What's life like at home? How much alcohol? How much substances? You know, and again, for me, a lot of the times, you know, sleep is comorbid with everything. And so don't just jump straight to that, you know, sleeping pill. Please try these other behavioral techniques first. Always kind of dig in a little bit about how they're managing their pain, how they're managing their day-to-day, how they manage that emotional distress. Understand that you can join with them by being a veteran, by saying, you know, there's a lot that the military taught you. There's a lot that the military gave you that made you a stronger person. The fact that you're there, that you went into the military, shows that you're a very strong person. You're a very compassionate, very passionate person. And there's a lot that you can use there to kind of pull out their own strengths, to give them a sense of power and control over their own life, over their own medical decisions too, by just taking a moment and saying, you know, again, thank you. You have a lot to offer. You have a lot of resiliency, and I'm here to try to maximize that the best that I can. So it was a real honor being able to speak with you today. And, you know, I hope, you know, you take some of this and apply it to your own practices as you start out or continuing to learn and gain that experiences. There's a whole world out there, and every single person is a little bit different, which is why the experience is so important. So it's a really exciting time. I really enjoy, you know, teaching and training and, you know, getting people ready for that excitement. Challenges, yes, of course, those are going to be there. But at the same time, just being able to see each person as a person, see each person as a collection of their own very individual experiences that can either help or hinder their resiliency, that can either help or hinder their physical health as well as their emotional health. So again, thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity to speak with you, and I'll let you get on with the rest of your day.
Thank you, Dr. Shelley. Next, we call upon Dr. Joy Moberly, the faculty co-advisor of our military club, and Matt Russo from Mare Island Brewery to tell us about the fallen comrade table. This will be followed by Felipe Catequese laying a wreath of remembrance.
Hi, my name is Joy Moberly. I'm the program director at the Touro University Joint PA and PH program. I'm a United States Army veteran, and I'm the faculty co-advisor for the military club. I thank you for your attendance today in this Veterans Day ceremony. I did want to acknowledge 3 of our PA program alum that are currently deployed: Jake Larson, Nicole Termonti, and Carolyn Whitney.
My name is Matt Russo. I'm a former sergeant in the Marine Corps. We're at Mare Island Brewing Company at the coal shed at the fallen comrade table.
The empty chairs symbolize the missing comrades who aren't here. Now they stand alone for the voices that we can't hear.
The candles are white, representing the purity of their intentions and willingness to respond to their country's call to arms.
The red rose stands tall for the love of country that inspired the service members to serve the country. It holds a place of honor.
Lemon wedges represent the bitter loss of the fallen soldiers' lives, which caused so much pain like the sharp edge of a knife.
The salt is put in place for all the loved ones, shedding tears, for the soldiers are no longer present to help calm our fears.
The Touro placed to the right side of the table represents the spiritual strength and faith to sustain the loss.
The inverted glasses represent that the fallen can no longer toast. They cannot be honored guests or such graces host.
This empty table and the 13 unopened beers honor the service members who died from the bombing at Kabul's Hamid Karzai International Airport in Afghanistan. This table is set for 13, and we remember Staff Sergeant Darren T. Hoover, Sergeant Rosario Ricardo, Sergeant Nicole Gee, Corporal Hunter Lopez, Corporal Deegan Page, Corporal Humberto Sanchez, Lance Corporal David Espinoza, Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz, Lance Corporal Riley McCullum, Lance Corporal Dylan Marola, Lance Corporal Kareem Nikwai, Army Staff Sergeant Ryan Noss, and Navy Corpsman H.M. Max Koviak. So the 13 names of the fallen, August 26, 2021. Had the great pleasure of being attached and deploying with 2nd Battalion 1st Marines in 2016 on the 13th MEU. A lot of my best friends came from that unit, and some of them are still with that unit currently. It hit really close to home to see something like this happen to friends and friends of friends. The Marine Corps teaches a lot about planning, but they don't do a good job of telling you how to plan for losing a friend, or losing a father, or losing a husband, or losing a wife. There are a lot of words that I just haven't found them yet. And I want to specifically honor some of the living that have survived the attack. Sergeant Tyler Vargas Andrews is 23. He's a scout sniper. He volunteered to leave his Overwatch to be with the Marines on the ground, and shortly after he was injured in the blast. The injuries that he had sustained are he lost an arm and a leg. He's been at Walter Reed for the past about 2 months. He was in Germany, and then he went to Walter Reed. And he's slated to be there for maybe a year or two longer, maybe even more. He's had 29 surgeries. He is in high spirits. And I ask that you keep him in your thoughts and remember his sacrifice. I also ask that you keep Gigi McCullum in your thoughts. So Lance Corporal Riley McCullum, 20 years old. He died in Kuwait, and he would have been a new father. He died August 26th, and I believe his daughter was born September 13th. It's sad because they were on their way home. That deployment was almost over, but it's just what happens. But anyway, just keep Gigi in your prayers and thoughts, and wish her the best. She's a wonderful mother, and I'm sure that family will be in good hands. We remember the fallen, and we also remember those of us who are left behind. And like I said earlier, when Marines die, we all feel it everywhere.
Thank you, Dr. Moverly and Mr. Russo. Next, we would like to call upon Rabbi Tenenbaum to say a few words in remembrance, which will be followed by a moment of silence and the playing of Amazing Grace by Royal Canadian Legion piper Charlie Martin.
Greetings to everyone tuning in. God in heaven, Master of the world, we are here before you in prayer as we honor our veterans today. Look favorably upon them and bless their sacrifice to this great republic and to their people, the people within. Bless the guests and dignitaries representing Touro University and the great state of California, and everyone who has tuned in for this special occasion. In particular, bless the efforts of our dear veterans defending the United States and for protecting this land and its allies from war and destruction. May he who makes peace in heaven bestow peace upon us and all of his children. I'd like to make special note of the 13 service members who were killed as a result of an enemy attack while supporting non-combatant evacuation operations on August 26th in Afghanistan. Our heart goes out to those service members, to their families, husbands, wives, fathers and mothers, sons and daughters who will not be seeing them. I have tremendous admiration to our service members and veterans for what they have done for this country and for my freedom. And to that, I'll be forever grateful. I think about the sacrifice of going on tours of duty for months, not knowing if we will come back. There is a verse in Isaiah, in chapter 2, and we always ask that this prophecy be fulfilled, that they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift the sword against a nation, and neither shall they learn war anymore. What we are asking and what this prophecy is that the resources of war be used for purposes of prosperity, that swords be used to produce food, to feed the hungry. Today, we are a living example here at Touro University of a Navy base being turned into something to sustain life, a medical school and a medical science school. This is the idea of that prophecy in a very small form. Well, we hope and pray that this expands, that we don't need our military, not for war and not even for peace. That we use all those resources that we have to help one another in this country, regardless of race, creed, and to help other people in other countries. And that we all truly are united, not just in these United States, but in the universe. Because universe is uni, it's one. And that is the ultimate fulfillment of all prophecies, that we all see ourselves as one. The numbers 13 of the service members represent the number 1 in Jewish teachings. And if there is one thing that they did and that they sacrificed for, is for true peace. May our nation serve as a beacon of light for all people and achieve the goal so powerfully stated in our Pledge of Allegiance, that America truly be one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless our veterans. God bless America.
This brings us to the end of our service today. However, before we conclude, I would like to once again thank Emerald Bibler for singing the national anthem. I'd also like to thank Provost Berkeley and Schweitzer and Rabbi Tenenbaum, as well as Congressman Thompson, State Senator Dodd, Assemblymember Grayson, and Councilwoman Dew for their initial remarks. We are especially grateful for the inspirational words from Dr. Andrew Shelley. A special thanks to the piper Charlie Martin of the Royal Canadian Legion for his rendition of Amazing Grace. A big thank you to Matt Russo and the folks at Mar Island Brewery for the Fallen Comrades table, Andrea Garcia for the many contacts and outreach that she undertook, as well as everyone on the advancement and communications team for their outreach and marketing. Last but not least, I would like to extend a sincere thank you to all who participated in or were involved with the planning and execution of this service together.